In today's local business spotlight, we are navigating the waters of auto insurance. Now, there are a lot of companies out there that can provide auto insurance. We'll put it that way. Guy Percy, Country Financial, thanks for joining us. What advice do you have for our viewers when it comes to purchasing auto insurance?
Well, Jess, there's really two distinctly different areas to look at, and I don't think most people really do that. There's that part of how much liability you should carry and all that, but then there's the other part of how you're going to protect your car, and they're two distinct areas.
Right, and I obviously, drive to work every day, have auto insurance, but I haven't thought about it in two separate areas. So let's dive into the liability piece to start with. What do we need to know?
Well, it's a very important piece and probably often neglected. You know, we call our agent up and we say, hey, I want full coverage or liability only, if people even know what that means, and we don't really, well, how full and how much coverage? And on the liability piece, we use some simple acid tests. Your viewers can kind of compare here if they want at home. We look at your income and your net worth. Your liability piece needs to be at least as much as we like to say 2.5 times your income, and if you're married, that's both of you added together, or your net worth, whichever is greater. So for instance, if a couple make $100,000, we can all multiply that by 2.5, that's $250,000. Then they need to carry $250,000 / $500,000 of bodily injury or liability, as we call it. If their net worth is more than $250,000, maybe it's $1 million, well, then they need to carry more. What are you protecting? What have you got to lose? You don't want to have your wages garnished because you don't have enough insurance. You don't want to lose your retirement account because you don't have enough insurance. So that liability piece is kind of based on where you're at, your assets, and your income.
And that's really great advice, and I think a lot of times that's the least often thought about portion of the puzzle. So let's talk about what we think of the most, protecting our car. What do we need to know there?
And that's where we all focus, you know. Big decision, do you want full coverage of liability only? If you go with liability only, if you wreck your car, you're going to fix your own car. So we usually, a lot of people carry full coverage until the car's pretty old and not worth very much. But then you've got to decide, what kind of deductibles do you want to have? Do you want to have towing? Do you want to have vehicle rental? Some of the extra little fancy riders that we insurance companies like to put on there that, aren't all that important, but you're going to have to decide on your deductible. If you accept a higher deductible, you're going to save a lot of money on insuring your car. Again, a distinct different area than how much bodily injury and all that other stuff you're going to carry.
And I know you have some final thoughts you're going to share with us on car insurance, but I also want to add that I think it's important that we know exactly what we're getting. Does it cover the towed vehicle? Does it cover rental if we need to? Those are little things that maybe aren't always included in conversation.
Well, in full coverage, we ask for full coverage. Well, what does full coverage mean? It means many different things. I want to flip it around just for a moment. I've got 6 children. One of them's my only daughter, Alex. She works in the office with me at times while being a college student. Let's say you were to have an accident and you were to hit my daughter. She's got a very promising future. I love her dearly, of course, but she's going to make hopefully very good money someday and have a family, but you hurt her. Right. And she's never going to work again, or she's never going to be the same again. She's never going to walk again. If I'm her agent, I'm going to show up with a checkbook based on the amount of liability you chose to carry. If you're determined to keep your premiums really low and you're going to carry state minimum, $25,000 is not going to make her whole. So we've got to have the right amount. Our viewers have an obligation to these people. If you do have an accident and hit them, don't just think about your premiums only and keeping them down. You want to have the right coverage. You want to be covered if someone hits you. Right. And you can't work. 3 things get paid out of there: their lost wages, their pain and suffering, and their medical bills. Well, that can be a lot of money. So do your homework.
Now's the time to think about others as much as ourselves. Guy, give us that phone number real quickly to get in touch with you to get started.
706-935-3365. We'd love to work with folks on their auto insurance.
All right, Guy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.